In today's story, we travel back to London in 2006, where a shocking murder captured national attention and exposed a trail of betrayal no one saw coming. What first appeared to be a simple case, maybe even a robbery gone wrong, quickly changed as investigators noticed small details that didn't fit the original narrative. For nearly 2 years, detectives worked tirelessly, rechecking evidence and following every lead until the real motives behind the death of 29-year-old Nisha Patel-Nasri finally came to light, and once the truth surfaced, justice followed. This is the murder of Nisha Patel-Nasri. Before we go further, you're watching True Crime Wound. Your support helps us dig deeper into cases like this, uncovering the truth behind shocking crimes. Make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and don't forget to like, comment, and share so more people can see these stories and learn the full truth. To understand the tragedy of what happened on that May evening, we must first understand the woman at the center of it all. Nisha Patel-Nasri. Born in 1977 in Luton, Bedfordshire, Nisha grew up in a British Indian household. Her parents had immigrated from Gujarat in western India, bringing with them strong cultural values and a deep sense of family. But Nisha's early years were marked by heartbreak. Her father died in 1996, and as a devoted daughter, she dedicated herself to caring for her mother, only to lose her as well 5 years later in 2001. Nisha later settled in Wembley, northwest London, a community known worldwide as the home of Wembley Stadium. Determined and hard-working, she left school at 18 to pursue her dream of entrepreneurship. She opened a hair salon called Perfections, working throughout a week to build it from the ground up. Her dedication paid off. Within 10 years, the salon thrived, serving more than 2,000 clients and providing her with a comfortable and successful income. Nisha's older brother, Ketan, lived only a few streets away, and the two remained very close throughout their lives. Their relationship was built on years of shared experiences, constant communication, and unwavering support. Ketan often spoke about how much Nisha loved children. With several nieces and nephews, she naturally became the fun aunt, the one who spoiled them with presents, organized trips, and made every birthday feel special. Beyond family and work, Nisha enjoyed staying active. Swimming was one of her favorite pastimes, and she carried an energy that made her stand out wherever she went. Friends described her as lively, friendly, and talkative, a person who brought warmth into every room. And while she was kind, she was also fearless. If something needed to be addressed, Nisha never hesitated to speak her mind. At 26, Nisha met Fadi Nasri, a man 4 years older. The connection was immediate. After a 6-month romance, they married in 2003. They were seen as warm, devoted, and deeply connected couple, appeared inseparable and genuinely happy together. Not long after meeting Fadi, Nisha felt compelled to do more for her community. She became a volunteer police officer, known as a special constable. The role was unpaid, but that didn't matter to her. She believed deeply in contributing to the place she had lived all her life, serving and protecting her neighborhood simply because it was the right thing to do. Together with her husband, Fadi, she also co-managed a limousine rental company called Limo Lounge, which they founded in 2003. Fadi oversaw the administrative duties, while Nisha handled the financial side. Both Limo Lounge and her salon appeared to be doing well, adding to the couple's growing success. Their personal life seemed equally stable. They were well-liked, surrounded by a large circle of friends, and known for their warm personalities. The couple owned a beautiful home on Sudbury Avenue, a place that symbolized the life they had built together. From the outside, everything looked perfect. Their businesses were thriving, their marriage seemed strong, and their future appeared full of promise. On the evening of May 10th, 2006, Fadi and Nisha marked their 3rd wedding anniversary with dinner at a local restaurant. The following day, May 11th, began routinely. Fadi and Nisha's brother stopped by her salon just before closing time for haircuts. Later that evening, Fadi cooked dinner for the two of them. After they ate, around 8:30 p.m., he left the house, telling Nisha he was meeting a friend for a game of pool at the Collindale Club on Edgware Road. But Nisha didn't want to be left alone. Just 5 days earlier, their home had been the target of an attempted break-in. Two men had tried to trick their way inside, and when that failed, they attempted to force the door with a crowbar. One of the intruders was described as a black man wearing a hood. Although they eventually fled, the incident had frightened Nisha deeply. She pleaded with Fadi not to go out that night, but he insisted he had to keep his plans. After he left, Nisha, exhausted from the long day and still unsettled by the recent break-in, took a shower, changed into her pajamas, and began getting ready for bed. Around 9:45 p.m., the quiet residential street erupted with sudden, desperate screams. Startled neighbors rushed outside, trying to locate the source of the commotion. There, on the driveway, they found Nisha Patel-Nasri collapsed in a growing pool of blood. A neighbor immediately called emergency services. Paramedics arrived within minutes. Fadi was notified and appeared shortly after, but the damage was already severe. Nisha was rushed to Northwick Park Hospital, where doctors fought to save her. Despite their efforts, her injuries were too grave. Nisha Patel-Nasri was pronounced dead. As officers arrived at the scene, they began piecing together what might have happened. Their first assumption was a burglary gone wrong. The luxury limousines parked outside seemed to fit that narrative, but a closer look inside the house told a different story. There were no signs of forced entry, no drawers pulled open, no rooms ransacked. The home was neat, untouched. In the living room lay about $350 in cash, the day's earnings from Nisha's salon, left openly on the sofa. Her wallet, complete with bank cards, sat nearby. Her mobile phone lay undisturbed. Nothing indicated that anyone had attempted to break into the limousine parked outside either. Only one thing was missing: the largest kitchen knife from the knife block. There were 2 blocks of knives in the kitchen, and just one slot was empty. Fadi insisted that earlier in the day, all knives had been in their correct places. What caught investigators' attention was what sat right beside the knife block: neatly stacked champagne glasses, perfectly arranged, not knocked over or disturbed. To detectives, it was a crucial detail. The knife hadn't been grabbed in panic or during a struggle. It had been taken calmly, deliberately. Neighbors were questioned in the hours following the attack, and one reported seeing a large, heavy-set black man in a hooded sweatshirt hurrying away from the scene that night. 2 additional witnesses recalled noticing someone with a similar appearance lingering in the area before the assault took place. The case quickly captured national attention, dominating front pages across the country. Authorities issued public appeals for information, urging anyone who might have seen something to come forward. Both Fadi and Keaton appeared on television, pleading for help in identifying the person responsible for Nisha's death. At first, detectives continued to operate under the assumption that the killing was the result of a burglary gone wrong. But as they dug deeper, certain details began to raise doubts. Investigators started reviewing CCTV footage from cameras positioned near Sudbury Avenue. That's when something unusual caught their attention. A silver Audi A4 had been spotted near the area around the time of the murder. What made the sighting significant wasn't just the vehicle itself, but its behavior. The car arrived more than an hour before the attack and remained stationary, as if waiting. Then, just minutes after Fadi left the house to play pool, the Audi moved and headed directly toward the Nasri property. The timing felt calculated, far too precise to be coincidence. Meanwhile, the search for the murder weapon continued. 2 weeks later, about half a mile from the crime scene, officers discovered a knife lodged beneath a drainage grate. It had been exposed to running water, likely washing away most potential forensic evidence. Even so, police confirmed it was the murder weapon after detecting traces of Nisha's DNA on the blade. Detectives turned their attention to the surveillance cameras positioned near the drainage grate where the knife had been found. One camera captured something investigators immediately considered important. On the night of the murder, shortly after the attack, a car slowed to a stop near the drain for roughly 7 seconds before driving away. The vehicle was identified as a silver Audi A4. At first, this seemed like a dead end. More than 18,000 Audi A4s were registered in southeast England alone. But further frame-by-frame analysis revealed two distinct features. One of the rear license plate lights wasn't working, and the car had a roof-mounted antenna. It wasn't much, but it was enough to narrow their search. The real turning point came from an entirely different angle. Police had already seized Fadi's phone as part of routine procedure. While going through his data, investigators found a photograph of a woman's naked thigh. When questioned, Fadi weakly insisted she was just a friend. But detectives weren't convinced. It soon became clear that Fadi was involved in an intimate relationship outside his marriage. Pressed further, Fadi initially denied the affair, but eventually admitted he had been seeing another woman for several months. The woman was Laura Mokin, a 25-year-old Lithuanian prostitute he had met at a brothel in Victoria, West London. What began as a paid visit quickly became something more. Within weeks, Fadi was seeing her up to 3 times a week. She stopped charging him, and Fadi, already drowning in debt, started taking her to upscale hotels across London and the southeast. A double life was now firmly exposed. This revelation immediately shifted suspicion onto Fadi. Detectives also questioned Laura, considering whether she and Fadi might have conspired to kill Nisha. After interviewing her, however, they concluded she had no involvement. When Nisha's family learned of Fadi's affair, they were shocked. They told investigators that Fadi had been extremely anxious about what police might find on his phone, so anxious he could barely sleep. And there was reason for concern. Fadi was connected to some dangerous people. Police soon discovered that in the days leading up to the attack, Fadi had been in frequent contact with a known local drug dealer, 38-year-old Roger Leslie, a man with a reputation for aggression and violence. Strangely, Roger called Fadi almost immediately after Nisha was stabbed. Investigators checked Roger's phone data to see if he was near the crime scene, but records showed he was elsewhere. Still, something else stood out. Before calling Fadi, Roger had made another call to 42-year-old Tony Emanuel, who worked at a nightclub. When detectives looked into Emanuel, they learned he drove a silver Audi A4 with a roof antenna, and one of the license plate lights wasn't working. It was an exact match to the car seen on surveillance. Police arrested him and examined the vehicle. Luminol testing revealed that a bloodied knife had once been placed on the armrest. At first, Emmanuel refused to talk, but the evidence was overwhelming. He eventually admitted that he had been near Nisha's home on the night of the murder, but insisted he was only the driver, thinking he was transporting someone for a drug deal. He claimed he had no idea a killing was planned. Under pressure, he finally revealed the name of the man he was driving that night: Jason Jones. Jones, a nightclub bouncer, was well known to police, with 75 prior convictions, including theft, assault, assaulting an officer, and weapons charges. Emmanuel also told investigators that after the attack, Jason mentioned seeing a large amount of cash inside the living room. This detail changed everything. Police had previously believed the killer never entered the house, but this new information suggested otherwise. And since there were no signs of forced entry, the intruder had to have used a key. Detectives began piecing together a new scenario. The attacker entered the home, took a knife from the kitchen, and waited. Nisha likely heard movement downstairs and came to investigate, perhaps assuming Fadi had returned. When she encountered the stranger, she tried to escape through the front door. That's when Jones struck. Then came the crucial question. How did Jason Jones get a key to Nisha's home? There was only one realistic answer: Fadi, her husband. Soon, investigators uncovered even more troubling information. Fadi was drowning in debt, over $54,000, and his business was bringing in almost no profit. They also discovered that Nisha had taken out a life insurance policy just 3 months before she was killed. The sole beneficiary was her husband. In the event of her death, he stood to receive roughly $350,000. Police had now narrowed the investigation to 4 key suspects: Tony Emanuel, the driver; Jason Jones, the man who carried out the attack; Roger Leslie, the link between the killer and Fadi; and Fadi Nasri himself, believed to be the mastermind who stood to gain the most from Nisha's death. When detectives confronted Fadi with the evidence, his reaction was dramatic. He broke down, sobbing uncontrollably, unable to compose himself. Yet, when formal interviews began, he offered nothing, not a single explanation. Apart from Emmanuel, every suspect refused to cooperate. Each of them responded with the same cold phrase: "No comment." By February 2007, 9 months after Nisha was murdered, all 4 men were formally charged. None admitted guilt. And despite the mountain of circumstantial evidence, police worried the case might not be strong enough to secure convictions. The trial opened in 2008 at the Old Bailey and stretched over 4 months. On May 28th, after 6 days of deliberations, the jury delivered their verdict. By a majority of 10-2, they found Fadi Nasri guilty of murdering his wife. Jason Jones was also convicted of murder, as was Roger Leslie. Emmanuel, deemed unaware of the murder plot, was acquitted. Sentencing was swift. Fadi Nasri, life imprisonment, with a minimum of 20 years. Roger Leslie, minimum of 18 years. Jason Jones, life with a minimum of 20 years. During sentencing, the Recorder of London, Judge Peter Beaumont, noted that Fadi could have faced more terrible penalty, but the court couldn't prove that financial gain was his sole motive. Still, the judge emphasized that Nisha's death created a clear opportunity for Fadi to continue his affair and benefit from her insurance policies. The jury's verdict, he said, revealed the truth. Fadi was no devoted husband. He was a man more captivated by his wife's success and her money than by the woman herself. The judge pointed out the stark contrast between the couple. Fadi had plunged them into serious debt after mismanaging a limousine business, financed with $15,000 of Nisha's own money. He flaunted luxury cars, designer items, and spent extravagantly on his mistress, all while ignoring the financial consequences. Meanwhile, Nisha, earning $60,000 a year from her thriving hairdressing business and volunteering with the police, was responsible, disciplined, and careful with her finances. Her stability only highlighted Fadi's recklessness. Outside the courthouse, Nisha's brother faced the cameras, his voice shaking with a mix of heartbreak and fury. He condemned the act as a cruel, calculated crime, motivated by nothing but greed. The murder of Nisha Patel-Nasri reverberated deeply through her community. Her colleagues at the Metropolitan Police grieved the loss of a dedicated volunteer officer, someone who had given her time to help protect others, only to be betrayed by the one person who should have kept her safe. At Perfection's hair salon, her clients remembered the warmth in her smile, her easy laughter, and the kindness she showed to everyone who walked through the door. Her family and friends were left struggling to understand how the man who vowed to love Nisha could orchestrate such a brutal ending to her life. Nisha was just 29, an accomplished businesswoman, a devoted daughter and sister, a loyal friend, and a woman who dreamed of one day becoming a mother. She deserved joy, a long life, and a future filled with love. Instead, she was deceived and destroyed by the man she trusted most. This case stands as a chilling reminder that danger doesn't always come from shadows or strangers. Sometimes it comes from within the home, from the person who shares your bed. Nisha's story exposes the catastrophic impact of greed, betrayal, and unchecked self-interest. Patel-Nasri chose wealth and desire over loyalty and humanity. He chose murder over simply walking away. His choices didn't just take Nisha's life, they shattered the lives of all who loved her. On a quiet street in Wembley, the memory of that night still lingers, etched into the place where Nisha Patel-Nasri fought for her final breath. Her story endures as a warning, a tragedy, and a testament to the need for justice. Rest in peace, Nisha. You will never be forgotten.